So yeah, so storytelling, first time online. I wanted to say welcome to wherever you are, and that we're here on the backs of course, people who are babysitting, people who are doing our job at work. Right now we're on the backs of the health workers on the front line, butcher, baker, candlestick makers that are feeding us and looking after us. We're here because of the ancestors, our family, our extended family. We're here because of the four-legged ones. We're here because we have feathered ones, winged ones, we have scaled ones, we have the five elements, we have all of these elements of life um, and our connection with everything that is one, that is complete, including ourselves. And we just need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge also the fact that we need to welcome any of your ancestors, any of the ancestors from the ceded and unceded territory in this, where I'm presenting from, which is the Tsleil-Waututh, the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and quite a few other ceded and unceded First Nations people from this area. We need to welcome also the Cantomblé. We need to welcome all those people that have gone before us and have allowed for us to meet like this. So just want to say that out loud, that we're here on the backs of a lot of people. And we're also here because Yan is helping. Yan is Hanzo Ovo in our screen. If we run into any technical difficulties, he's my IT guy. He's going to look after us. We're here to relax into this story. We want this, the best thing to do around a story is to be able to relax into it, let it take you. We did this all the time when we were kids. We did this all the time when you were with me on other challenges, or you've been to other storytelling gatherings. We're here to just allow the story to teach us. It is very much a teaching story. The way it's going to work ideally is we're going to spend an hour together, a little bit of the introduction. I want everybody to put their name in the room. I want, in a second, I want everybody to either write it in or say it out loud. I want everybody to know that we're going to go about an hour. I'm going to do a little meditation, a short relaxing into what's here, what's now, as it is meditation. And from there, I'm going to jump into the story. And then I'm going to get you guys to answer a couple of questions about the story. Some of you are familiar with the routine that I use. We're going to come out at the other end with some teachings. We're going to come out with some homework for you guys. And we're going to also be able to finish off with some recommendations of next steps and things like that. So that's what I was thinking today, our first online storytelling event. If I missed anything, yes. Okay, so the part that I missed is that stories have a way of getting under your skin. Love for that to happen for you. I'd love for you to be able to be here today and for an hour and a bit, whatever it is. For those that want to stay longer, they can. But I'm going to try and do all of it in about an hour. But I really want you to let this story have you for, okay, I'll be honest, the rest of your life. It's a once upon a time story that's been around a long time. It's a story that Carl Jung told, if any of you are familiar with Carl Jung, he told before every lecture that he gave. It's a story that has a lot of credibility going way back thousands of years. You can see it in different cultures around the world. It's a story that is, I'm going to say, absolutely needed right now. And you know where I'm going with this. We all have a rainmaker in us. We all have to step into that, and we are. A lot of you have already stepping into that rainmaker in this time of trouble, this time of uncertainty. And we need the old stories, and we need to gather around fires in order to be able to remember, what's truth, what's wisdom, what's beauty. So So I want to jump in, but I want to ask you if each of you, in order for us to participate, because we're not all together in my living room, but you are in my home in a different way. I'd like for each of us to have a candle or a rock or something that allows you to sort of get yourself grounded and into this story. Now, I'm going to go light a candle. You can do that. You could grab a plant, a flower, a glass of water, something that allows you to kind of mark your place here with us today. So I'm going to go light this candle. Beautiful. Thank you. And now if we can say maybe collectively, when if you're in my living room, I like to do a certain things that set the tone and set the atmosphere. And so these are little rituals that I'm learning, I think are important for us to get into the game of the storytelling online. It's a different world, it's a different game. But this allows us, by lighting a candle, bringing a rock, a plant, of water, some element, something. John's got his dogs, Luca's got his wild and rascally beastie, that beautiful lime green dragon. No, it's Simba. Is it Simba? It's Simba. Great. We all have our little ways in keeping ourselves connected, and I just wanted to make sure that happen. The second thing I would love for us to do is just for all of us to say our names, and we can do this all at once. We can say all our names all at once on the count of 3, just again to get us all into the room, into the story. And then from there, I would love to take you on a little short meditation, and then let me take you into this story. And we will then ask some questions at the end. I'll bring you back, and we will then do some Q&A. We'll do a little bit of interaction, and then talk a little bit more before we wrap up at the end of the hour. All right, so on 3, just to say your first name just to get you into the story. So 1, 2, 3, Michael.
Anja.
Wow, there was a wave that came across the screen there. That was beautiful. Yeah, did you do that, Yen? Is that a technical thing, or was that really just all the ancestors joining us? I think it must have been a combination of both. So right where you are, I don't want you to do anything. I don't want you to sit up straight. I want you to just let me take you into a very light meditation. And it's following a poem, and then the poem is going to lead us into some silence, and then the silence is going to, again, take us into the story. So right where you are, eyes open or eyes closed, please just allow yourself to rest. The important thing in a story is to be relaxed. The important thing in a meditation is to start off with just relaxing into where you are. And in this poem, it asks you to rest into natural great peace. This exhausted mind, beaten helplessly by karma and neurotic thoughts, like the relentless fury of the pounding waves in the infinite ocean of samsara. So we are just taking a breather and resting into exactly where we are. no meditator trying to get us to a state of bliss or peace. No, just resting into what is always here. And what is always here is peace. Peace that is natural. A peace that is great. Like a glass of stirred up emotions and thoughts and feelings. A glass of muddy water eventually settles, just starts to settle. That's what we're doing. Never mind the thoughts, never mind the noises, never mind, the different things that are going on, the sensations in the body. I want you to just relax and rest anyways. Into natural great peace. Into this moment. And into being here with me in the story. Listening with all pores, listening to the silence, listening to with our body. To that natural great peace. Just allow yourself to sit even more into that peace. Yeah, just one more sit down into yourself, into that here and now. And in this here and now, there of course is the once upon a time, the once upon a place, the once upon a territory not far from here. Or some people said 3 or 4 kingdoms or queendoms from here. Either way, when you tune in to the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker in this particular valley that we're now finding ourselves in, we would notice a lot of arguing and a lot of frustration and a lot of even anger and rage. Why? Because the rain had not come for months now. And these poor villagers, all of them, were now finding it difficult to remain sane because at nighttime, without any of the rain coming during the day or the night, the howling bushels will roll through the center of town and cause ruckus, and the winds now were not able to be pushed back by the live trees. They were all had fallen over and had died off and turned into brambles that were just busting through the center courtyard of this village, running into people and bringing with it sand and dirt. People were staying at home at nighttime. The howling wind was so loud it caused people to scream with vexation. It was a very difficult time. There was no water for washing vegetables. There were no vegetables to be washed. There was no wounds. There was no water to wash the wounds with. There was no rain to wash ourselves with. It was a desperate situation that was going from bad to worse. People were staying in. They weren't even noticing sometimes what was going on. They were so busy on their cell phones or on the internet, even listening to weird Zoom storytelling calls. They were doing weird things and ordering coffee to be delivered from Starbucks. They were not even noticing now how things were going from bad to worse on the outside. This drought in the valley had been going on for months. The elders were meeting regularly, trying to come up with an antidote. The engineers from Harvard had come and gone, and they were unable to get the waters flowing. The meteorologists and even the weatherology people had arrived only to walk out of that village with their tail between their legs, their heads hanging low for the failure to not be able to bring any rain. And then in one of these meetings with the elders, one of them had remembered perhaps that storyteller 7.13 kingdoms over could be fetched. Perhaps a rainmaker could bring the rains for us. This drought has been going on for months. If we don't get it resolved this time round, we're going to have to be leaving this valley once and for all, or we're for sure to perish. Well, they sent the youngest and the strongest, didn't they? And they went, and he went 7.13 kingdoms over and brought back with him by the hand a rainmaker. Now, if you haven't seen a rainmaker, they're funny looking people. This one in particular was tall. He had a little grin on his face, and you could see a couple of lost teeth. You could see that his skin was well weathered from being out in the wilds. They all gathered around, that is, the village elders, the storytellers, the poets, everybody gathered to meet this last hope and see what in fact he actually looked like. And what is it that he needed, because they were going to do whatever it was to gather this man, a hut, it turns out, for 3 days, some coffee every now and again he asked for, and a couple of meals if that's at all possible too. He asked for these three things: a hut, a coffee, a meal every now and again, and 3 days. And he said, look, let me jump in here. When I look up at the sky and I look at the ground and I spit, I can tell that, I need to, I just need to get into this hut for 3 days. So that's what he did, didn't he? The first day goes by. Everybody's wondering. They're looking out their windows. There's still no rain. Oh my God, what's he doing in there? He was a funny looking fellow anyway. Are we sure he's the right guy for the job? They're asking. Day 2 rolls around, there's still no rain. Day 3, they're all carrying their people out and walking into the town square and gathering around the hut. Some now are cursing the hut and wondering, why hasn't he moved? Why hasn't things happened? And they're all starting to get frustrated even more now, because yet again another night of no sleep and howling winds had kept them up. But all of a sudden, in these stories what happens. At that 11th hour, didn't the clouds start to come round? Didn't they get darker and darker? Wasn't there even a little bit of thunder and lightning threatening in the sky? People were starting to get a little grin on their face. At least those that could remember had a grin. And didn't they just notice that there were some rains coming their way, and it seemed to take forever for it to land? It was a squeal and the delight of the little boys and the little girls running now through the fields, getting the dust and dirt all off them and letting the rain saturate their the gullies, and you can hear the pounding of that rain now on top of the rooftop. You can feel the rain now arriving into all the crops. You can practically see the greenery starting to show up in all the crops that have been planted a long time. The farmers are looking at themselves thinking, oh my God, perhaps we can still get a crop out of this terrible beginning to this season. They couldn't help themselves. Every one of them gathered around the storyteller, who stuck his head out and got completely saturated with the rain and started out laughing out of the hut and stood up tall and just had a big grin on his face and couldn't believe his luck, I guess. And they all asked him, oh my God, it's a miracle. What were you doing in there? You've got to tell us the secret. It must be some alchemical treatment that you did to the land. It must have been, you knew more than the Harvard people and the NASA people and the weatherology people. I mean, what secret do you know that nobody else knows? And finally they let him speak. And he only had this to say. He said, the truth is, you know, I'm a rainmaker. I'm a simple guy. I got here early that morning when you brought me in, and I felt my whole system was completely out of whack. My mind was going this way, my body was going that way, and my heart was just turning in circles and getting confused about the whole thing. And when I looked at the sky and I looked at the ground, I just knew that I needed 3 days in a hut with the odd cup of coffee and a meal every now and again. And I knew that that would bring me back into order. I'm not in charge of what happens outside of that. The fact that it starts raining or stops raining is not my business. But I tell you what, I'm sure glad to see the rain, and I can see it's going to make a difference for you, because now people's wounds were healing. They were being cleaned up. There was now some crops of vegetables and fruits to be washed. There was some clean people walking around with clean hair. It was quite a sight to behold. They danced and jumped, and they saw the Rainmaker leave the village that day, didn't they? They saw him off with a big grin on his face, and he said, thank you so much for the great visit. I'm very happy. I'll come again, I promise. To this day, they're still dancing. They're still celebrating, because they know they have the Rainmaker in the back of their pockets. If push comes to shove, they can find a way if the drought returns. But to this day, they haven't yet to have a return. They haven't had to return to ask the favor again. They've somehow been able to keep their little valley going, because somehow that Rainmaker woke up all the Rainmakers inside of them, and they all now have their own hut practices. Guess what, right? So that brings us into the end of the story, at the end of that chapter anyway. And I want to just say that we're going to officially end at that part. The story, of course, goes on. There's many chapters of the Rainmaker story, but I want to just stay with this part where we need to pause for a minute, and you guys need to write down or call out.
Sorry, say again?
I want you now to either write down or call out one detail that grabbed your attention. It could have been the rain. It could have been the Rainmaker's gap in his teeth. It could have been the coffee that came. What was the detail that grabbed your attention? It might have been the drought itself. It might have been the young kids running through the forest. The detail, the first detail, your instinctive detail that you know somehow grabbed your attention. And if you can write it down on a piece of paper and send it in to me, or just call it out and I'll write it down, and we'll discuss some of those details. We'll be able to discuss some details, not all, but I want you to have a detail. Why do I want you to have a detail? I'll tell you in a minute. But first, grab the detail that grabbed your attention. And just make a note to yourself.
Just needed 3 days.
Just needed 3 days. Okay, so Penelope is the 3 days.
Mine was that he said he was a simple man.
A simple man. Sonia's detail is a simple man.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was when he came out and said he had done nothing to make the rain.
Who was that? Annalie?
Annalie.
Annalie was when he came out and he did nothing. He said he did nothing?
Yeah.
I did nothing. Okay, keep going.
Going into the hut.
The which?
Going into the hut.
Going into that. That's Susan.
Yeah.
Mine was that the elders were gathering.
Who's that?
Crystal.
Crystal, there you are. Say your detail again, Crystal.
It was that the elders were gathering.
That the elders were gathering, yeah. Great details, people. Okay, anybody else want to pipe in with their details?
Michael, people are writing in the chat box.
Okay, that's me moving it over so I can see it. Okay, thank you. We're doing this together. Christine, it was a difficult time. Okay. It was I'm just going to call out these. It was a difficult time because maybe I just can read these. John was the simplicity again. So we have two simplicities, which is really great. Carolyn, 3 days in the hut. 3 days in the hut. Wow, it was hut time. Yeah. Hannah had a cup of coffee. Cool. All right. And anybody else there that wants to put their detail in? we can come back to more details if they come, but the next question is, okay, John, you remember how this works. You guys all know how this works. How is that detail that you were attracted to at this moment in time, in this story, in this gathering? How is that being reflected to you in your life? Where is that a reflection of your life? Where is that simplicity in your life? Where is that cup of coffee in your life? Maybe it needs more caffeine. Maybe it's the warmth. I don't know. Where is that detail being reflected to you, and what is it teaching you right now? And then you guys can, again, jump in kind of popcorn style. Yeah. So the simplicity could be that you need more simplicity, or you're learning simplicity, or you're being taught simplicity right now. It could be that you need to really mobilize the simplicity in your life because you still haven't got there yet. So I'm making that up, John. I'm making that up that's
okay. Yeah. Well, all of that, all of the above.
yeah.
I think for me, most immediately, down here in San Diego, we're looking at a terribly unsettling time, as everybody knows, and I think people in Canada are watching with trepidation what's going on here throughout the U.S. And there are many moving parts, and many of us, I think, our lives are defined by uncertainty and complexity. And I think that where I've been able to find some solace, some encouragement, is going back to fundamentals and asking what's important. And those questions and the answers to those questions are at their utmost very simple, and they are a source of serenity to me. And that's what connected me with the story.
Beautiful, John. Beautiful. Well said. Yeah. Fundamentals is the word that grabbed my attention. That is simplicity is what we all have to call on right now. And I think the story reflects that beautifully. The Rainmaker just comes back to just getting ourselves into alignment. And if we need hut time, we need hut time. And if that simplicity is fundamentals of, just a simple daily routine, or a simple self-care practice, or the fundamentals of us just really reaching out and connecting with what's real, which is family, friends, people in need. We've got this global pushback to simplify our lives, come back to what we each know as a Rainmaker, are the fundamentals of life. So John, thank you. That is so beautiful, and that is doable for you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Essential.
Doable, essential, and I want to say the Rainmaker is one of those energies that you can call on and just, okay, Rainmaker, we got to go to work here. We've got to stay connected. We've got to mobilize. It's that whole part of ourselves, right? It is that completeness that's already there, and that doesn't get any simpler than that. Life doesn't get any simpler if we're being pushed back into ourselves, into the heel of ourselves, so we access that. And whatever, John, you need to do to access that simplicity, that Rainmaker hut time, that being with your dogs, being with friends, all of that, and creating some sanity for your friends and being that Rainmaker, that stillness that comes in. Yeah, please go, especially down there in the United States. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, well, look, thank you. And I'm sure the story will inspire you to even deeper levels of simplicity and fundamentals. And please let it have you, John. Please, you know how these stories work. It'll be with you tomorrow. And I wonder how else I can bring some more simplicity. I wonder if there's other fundamentals that I'm missing out. I wonder if there's a, you know, asking that wonder question can really allow for us to open up even more chambers of rainmaking energies that we can bring to the village. Right? Because a lot of us are villagers and are required now to be going out and looking after people in many, many different circumstances. So thank you for sharing, John. I really appreciate that. Yeah, getting us started. Who else wants to jump in? We've got a bunch of details. We might not be able to do all of them, but we'll be able to do quite a few.
Me, Penelope.
Yes, Penelope. 3 days.
So mine was I just need 3 days, and how loud that invitation is coming to us now from the universe, just to take that 3 days, or maybe it's 3 weeks, maybe it's 3 months, who knows? And it's just resting into the unknown of that and being all right with the unknown. And then when we're okay with the unknown and we can settle into that in the hut in the 3 days, then the rain will come.
Yeah.
But we need that 3 days. I need that 3 days.
Yeah.
And and it's a reminder to not to fill up the time with looking at the media, the texts, you know, to reach out with consciousness, but not just always for company.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, very wise, very wise. Yeah, those 3 days are essential right now. If they weren't before, they are now. This is a spiritual crisis, but it's a really fabulous one on Channel 2. Channel 1, nothing right about this. Let's be really clear. Channel 1 this is a serious challenge. There are people dying. There will be more deaths. There are people who are not taking the proper precautions. There are leaders around the world that are not being strict enough right now. We know this. So Channel 1 is very, very difficult situation to be in. Channel 2, though, there is also simultaneous to that, not a but an and, there is also a spiritual opening for all of us to awaken a rainmaker in us, to get serious about our inner practice, about bringing more rainmaker energies, which is, you know, the peace, the love, the wheat germ that we all know we've got in spades inside of us, to our village, to our community, to our animals, to our plants, to our land. This is a spiritual crisis that we can all respond to. And Penelope, what you're talking about is taking it way seriously on Channel 2. And that's a must. We have to mobilize our rainmaker. And if it's 3 weeks, it's 3 weeks. I know Deepak, I know other spiritual teachers are deliberately going in to take the time out. They're going to take the retreat time that they need to get their rainmaker energies going. All the great spiritual teachers are going into the silence. We're doing this collectively. You don't have to be a great spiritual teacher. You can be a very simple, humble person like we all are in a way and just answer the call. Why? Because we know that, I'm just looking for this beautiful quote I have. By the way, this story is available to you guys if you would like it. It's on my website, but I will send it to you. The quote that goes with it is, at the center of our being, we have all the answers. We know who we are, and we know what to do, and we know what we need. We can hear that if our ears are on the tracks of our hut practice. We can't hear it with all the media. I think that's part of what you're saying, Penelope, right? Is that the media
Right.
can be oh, somebody's banging and moving their recycling out as we speak. The Rainmaker energies have been mobilized. Is that possible for you, Penelope?
Yeah, definitely. I'm in it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can do it, you must do it. I mean, that's the way I was taught. It's the stillness that you have, the Rainmaker stillness that you have access to is not everybody has access to right now. There's people in the downtown east side. There are poor people around the world. There are people who are dealing with poverty and mental health, and they're dealing with crime. They're dealing with a whole multiple barrier of things. That there are people that are being bullied as we speak. There are people that cannot do this Rainmaker Channel 2 stuff. They're not able to get that. So we need to be the ones that can bring the stillness. We need to bring the stillness. Right? So Penelope, you're one of those in full charge of now bringing the stillness, dialing it up that much more for all of us, but especially for you and your family and your kids, right?
Right. Well, when it first happened, I was fighting it tooth and nail of how can I be spontaneous if I can't go out? And yeah, I've just realized that this is an opportunity to be spontaneous in a completely different way.
Yeah. And don't think spontaneity doesn't go with a serious spiritual practice. I mean, have you seen how the Dalai Lama and all the rest of some of the great teachers carry on with each other? Desmond Tutu, they are laughing and being spontaneous and creative. Susan is a rascal when it comes to this. We laugh more. The more we go down this rabbit hole of Rainmaker energy, spirituality, the more you realize you need to laugh where you can. I know it sounds funny, it sounds odd in the time of crisis, but boy, do we need music right now. We need hugs. We need to have, people who are able to, really be present with us and bring a smile to our face and hold us. And even if they can't physically hold us, that they can hold us in a very deep way inside our hearts. So you got this, Penelope, right? You can bring this Rainmaker energy to your family, yeah, to your boys, to Cammie,
Right.
to all those people, to Russ, right?
Right.
You're in full charge of that now.
Okay, boss.
Yes. Yeah, John, you are too in full charge of that, for the dogs, for your community, for all the great work that you do. All the great work that all of us do. It's really important that everybody take this very seriously, and that doesn't mean not playfully or spontaneously, because they do go together. They can go together.
Right.
Yeah. All right, who's next? Thanks, Penelope. Appreciate it.
Hey everyone, I'm Corey. So what stood out to me was the willingness of the villagers to share, a hut, meal, coffee with the Rainmaker, and for him to not ask for more than what he really needed. Because I think right now, we've seen a lot of people who feel really uncertain about what's going to happen, and so there's been some hoarding behavior. And I think just sort of keeping in mind, like, even though we don't know what's going to happen, it's important not to ask for more than what we need as well.
Yeah, I like what you're saying, Corey. That's very beautiful. Yeah. Where is that in your life, Corey? Where do you find that? I know you've mentioned that there's other people who are, able, we're seeing the best and the worst of people. Let's just put it that way. But for you personally, Corey, if you take this teaching to hand, are you having the right amount of coffee? Are you sharing the right amount of coffee? Are you noticing that you need to do an upgrade personally, that you need to cut back more or add more? Like, what are you noticing for you?
I think it's kind of been both. I mean, I'm not the sort of person who oftentimes will reach out for help, just because
Okay.
it feels like I don't want to be a burden on others. But on the other hand, like for example, a lot of my friends were saying we're almost out of toilet paper. And so I said, well, I've got some extra rolls, like you're welcome to take one if you need it. But so I think giving isn't too much of a problem as long as it's, just a roll here and there, because you don't want to run out for other people. But maybe asking for help is, that's still kind of hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you were talking about that, Corey. It's really difficult for people to ask for help. Kaylee, my partner, was talking to me about, she bumped into somebody that she hadn't seen for a while, and they could not get it out of them to, can you help me, please? I'm really struggling with gathering, the vegetables for my cart because they were shaking so much, because of their Parkinson's or something. I mean, I think it's really important that, if we come back to that simplicity of recognizing that we're all so human, we all can overtake and undertake, we all can be awkward about asking for what we need or what we want, and maybe the difference between what we need and what we want. And hi, Maddie, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm so sorry I'm late. I was
It's
just in a
okay.
meeting.
You're here now. It's good. It's good. Yeah. So Corey, you're recognizing, I think, that there is a little sweet spot there in all of this that you need to be onto, right? You need to be the shaman of that sweet spot right now, and you need to model that for people. Says the story anyway. John has to model the simplicity, the back to fundamentals. Penelope has to really learn how to do spontaneity and have time together. She's going to be the shaman of that, right? But your job is going to be somehow bringing that medicine of, hello people, can we bring this medicine of balance and sharing, and not too much, not too little, right? That little guitar string too tight, it snaps. Guitar string too loose, no sound at all, right? Does that make sense for you, Corey?
Yeah, it definitely does. Thank you.
Are you up for that?
Yes, I mean, I definitely think so.
Yeah, I want to challenge you to just, yeah, no, I'm going to do it anyway. I may not know how to do it. I'm going to learn along the way. But I need to be truthful with myself that I could actually be that person, because the Rainmaker story is pointing me in this direction. And what if there's some truth in that? And what if I followed that and allowed for that to also help me? Maybe that's the Rainmaker energy that you can bring, right? That balancing of our needs with our wants and our desires. And anyway, I could see you doing a fantastic job in your family with that. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, who wants to go next? Is there somebody else that some people are writing in? Excuse the noise. Oh, somebody's making noise. Oh, Julie, you're making noise? Oh my God. Just kidding. Just kidding. I'm glad you can join us. Yeah, we're figuring out this technology as we go. Does somebody else want to jump into?
I can.
Carolyn, beautiful.
Well, I had the 3 days in the hut as well, but I just think there's so much. There's so much need right now to be quiet and to take the time and to meditate, and we've got the time to do that now, which is a real bonus to what's happening. So I'm just trying to up my my meditation time and do a lot of the metta for everybody, for the planet, and trying to acknowledge how dependent we are. Not just interdependent, but dependent we are on everybody. So that's what I'm doing.
That's beautiful, Carolyn. Yeah, you got to up your game. I mean, I think all of us are in that place. Up the simplicity, the balance, the spontaneity. We need to get better at what we're already good at, and if not you, who, right? Like this is the thing. If not now, when? Like, when is a better time for us to do to deepen our spiritual practice, right? That the 3 days in the hut, maybe we need to bring, the yoga mat in there. We need to bring our vision boards in there. We need to bring our bells in there. We need to bring our sage. We need to clear out so it's completely empty. I don't know. Have you got some ideas about how you can up your game, Carolyn, like you said?
I think it's just I think what the world's reflecting back, like it's kind of forcing me not to be, it's changing my perspective, I guess. So it's kind of along with John's simplicity and just more silence, more time, and just much more basic things in life is what it seems to be coming up for me. So, and noticing it's just so easy to be busy and distracted and hurried and anxious, but in a way that's being taken away. So it's more about everything's slowed down. Time is kind of slowed down. It's kind of like going into the hut. It's very much retreat, a cone of silence over us. All of those things, it's happening.
It is happening, isn't it? It's like we're being forced into it. The course correction is so loud, it's forcing us into the channel to deepening, the Great Awakening. I think there was the Great Depression. I think this time will go down as the Great Awakening. There'll be people that, of course, I'm not trying to paint a glossy-eyed picture of this, because our blue-sky spirituality needs to have the grief seeds to really get grounded. And I really want to say this, that is, of course, on channel 1 and of course on channel 2, those that can create this time for themselves and, have the skill set or have the willingness that they do it for everyone, because we are all dependent. I'm dependent on your levels of stillness. We're going to see this measurable pretty soon, right? We're going to see they've been able to, do all sorts of extensive research, and they're eventually going to be able to look at how it is that when your stillness walking into a family gathering of 20 people has an effect on, the people on the periphery of that family gathering. They're already starting to measure that, right? So your stillness that you're starting to fill your cup up with and upgrade with, of course, ripples out into that dependent world that we really are. Yes, we're interdependent, but that dependent world we are nature. We are human, right? We are absolutely, in that dependency together. And it's so crystal clear. How is your husband doing? How are you guys doing together in the hut?
Good. We're definitely spending more time together in the hut.
How's that going?
It's good. It's good. Yeah. So it's good. Yeah. So we're cooking more and meditating together. Sort of side by side, which is good. So it's kind of like a team, more of a team rather than, independent comings and goings and that sort of thing. So that's what's showing up for us too. It's sort of like joining together. Yeah. And also, because you do have to distance. So it's creating that feeling of togetherness or team as well. So it's very good. It's different.
Well, Carolyn, let me ask you, because I'm sure a lot of us on the line, a lot of us in the world today are really struggling. Okay, how do we stay isolated, but connected, right? What are you finding that works?
Well, this is great. This is working. I did another Zoom with another group, which also was really good. So I'm going to be doing more of this sort of thing, which I would never have done before. So this hour will fill me up and make me feel connected for sure. You know, and I think as I get used to it more, I'm hoping in an equally real way to person, you know, in person stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's just a shift in the brain, really.
Yeah. It's just that, and yet that can be enormous for people to make that switch in the perspective. But we're being forced to do it, and in some ways, some people are dragging themselves, you know, to the new upgraded version of life, and some people are, you know, they're willingly, yeah, what do we need to do? I'm in favor of this new hug where you know that you can't touch people necessarily, but you can put your hand on your heart and bow down to them on the left. I like that. A few people have said that works as a way of keeping the warmth going, as well as observing the social distancing, you know, so that you really have a chance to, it's a combination of the handshake and the namaste. But, you know, I think we're going to find ways, new, inventive, ingenious ways for us to stay connected. And technology can be a huge boon for that, right? We know this shadow side of technology, but it also can be right now, boy, it can be a real lifesaver, you know?
I think so. Yeah, it's very, very good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, fantastic. We're just noticing the time. Who else is there? Yeah, Annalie?
I wrote something down, so it might sound more stilted than I usually do.
Okay.
My detail was that came out of the hut, and he said that he did nothing, and it wasn't him that stopped the rain. So this is what I wrote. I'm enjoying the opportunity to take a break from the outside world. I have my coffee, I have my food, and I have my time alone in my hut. It is not my responsibility to make this tumultuous problem go away. My opportunity is to send as much positive energy into the universe as I can. I have the opportunity to live in peace, joy, and harmony with the two young people that live upstairs. One is a male German, 28 years old, and his wife is 30-ish, doing her PhD at UBC online right now. And he does the cooking, so I don't have to cook for myself. I'm actually very, very, very blessed. I have the opportunity to reconnect with my children in a very special way over the technology, because we've had our troubles. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'm studying Spanish, so that when all this is over, I can go to Colombia with my daughter-in-law who's from Colombia, and with my son, and actually speak to her mother. I'm playing table tennis instead of my usual tennis. We're really enjoying playing. The two children and I are enjoying playing together, and I'm on the bottom of the heap at the moment, but I'm getting better. I'm practicing being peaceful and fearless, absolutely fearless, in a time when people of my age are really fearful. I'm 77, and the world is going crazy around us. And I am absolutely in a place of non-resistance to what's going on. I am absolutely being as compliant as I can. And that will keep my children happy and keep them safe. That's it. That's me.
Wow. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
That's beautiful, Annalie. I really appreciate you sharing that. That's from an elder, not an older, that is actually stepping into all and leading the way for your whole family. You have a whole family that you're the center hub for, I'm sure. And that they're all watching you like a hawk, because, you know.
They are watching me.
Yeah, they are watching you.
Watching me, and I have to keep them without fear.
And you let them see you standing in that Rainmaker energy that you wrote down so beautifully. That is the Rainmaker energy that we all need to be. Let them see you in that more, Annalie. That's beautiful. Yeah. And if you can do that, we can do that, right? I mean, I think that's a big part of it. Is just one at a time we can model that for each other, even at a distance. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just noticing the time, and of course, this is all going so fast. I want to stay on and do some more details with folks if folks want to do that, but I just wanted to say a couple of things. Was that a jumping in there? Somebody was, I wanted to just, for those that have to go, because I know an hour is a lot of time, and I really want to acknowledge you guys for spending the last hour with us. And I am so happy to stay on and look at some more details if people do need to go or want to go. I think I wanted to say a couple of things about some teachings. The teachings here is, and we're touching on them, and we'll touch on some more. One of them is that you are a rainmaker. I need you to own that. I mean, who am I? I am yourself. I want all of us to be the rainmaker that we really are inside of us. Why? Because it benefits the whole world. You know, what the world needs now is Penelope and John's and Annalise and Susan's and Hannah's and Crystal's. Like the rainmaker in you has never been there's never been a louder, meaningful need for that now than ever before. The drought out there, not lost on any of you, is what we're dealing with in the valley right now, is a terrible, terrible drought. And when we bring ourselves back in order, things happen. That's a huge teaching in the story. You get not lost on, I know this is not lost on any of you. The instructions in the hut are perhaps the body, mind, soul self-care system, right? When we align that system again, if we do our cardio, if we do some stretching, if we do some playing guitar or listening to music, or we are doing some artwork, and then we do our or meditation, like we do this, we get this system going, this body, mind, soul pyramid going, then we become the rainmaker automatically, because we start to ooze more of that stillness and more of that beauty and the wisdom and truth that we are. We start to walk in it, right? And when we walk in beauty, people notice and they'll pay attention. And that commitment to your body, mind, soul system right now, it being aligned so it can kick out more rainmaker energy, is so crucial. Your commitment is going to be, you will have people then following. Annalie is doing this very well. Her family will have eyes for her because she's so committed to really staying in that energy, right? So we have to do this. That's a big part of the teaching I want to talk about. Yeah, and sorry, did I miss that? Somebody was shuffling. Yeah. Okay, one more thing. I mean, honest to God, this story is the meaningful need out there is so loud. Did you notice that the rainmaker responds to a meaningful need? He didn't wait until, oh, well, I think the timing's right and the wind's in the air. I think I'll go visit that valley. They came to get him. There was a meaningful need out there. The meaningful needs that he responded to are the meaningful needs we need to respond to right now. Can I just list some of them? Social justice, meaningful need. Environmental, meaningful need. We are so dependent, as Carolyn says. There's political, we need good people in politics right now. We think a pretty good prime minister who's doing a pretty good job, but it's a tough leadership role to take, but we need good people in politics. We need people who are really good at individualism, hyper-individualism, but also hyper-collective villager energies. We need to be able to do both of those really well. Get to the top of Freedom Mountain on our own and really join base camp where we need to be supported. The meaningful need of mental health, obviously, human rights, education, LGBTQ plus community, courageous leadership. We talked about that. Village intelligence. We need people doing research on village intelligence, not just virus intelligence. So there are so many meaningful needs. He responded to that. We were in the 80s, I'm bragging here, on the front line of responding to HIV virus and AIDS, and that was a meaningful need that called to us. It made all of us into rainmakers. There is such a loud need right now outside of us. Pick your spot and go. Figure out how you're going to do it along the way. I just really want to encourage you. The Rainmaker energy has all of that and more stitched into it, right? So to mobilize that, I want to say to you, but for those people that have to go, just before you go, there's a self-care pyramid PDF on my website on a new section called freebies. Available, free to you. There's the free, this story is available. It's got teachings in the back of it and questions. You can order that online. Let me know, just email me and we'll send it to you free of charge. There's an ebook on how to do, there's 10 different principles on how to get your self-care going, how to move this Rainmaker energy in positive ways so that you can be the change that we've always wanted to be. One of them is just kind of making a declaration right now that you are going to live that now. Like you need to do, you can't wait until, okay, well, I'm 60, or maybe when Annalie turns 78, then maybe I'll step into it. No, now people, this is the time. We have to get going. There is no tomorrow. It is the time for us to mobilize those energies. The Rainmaker is just a beautiful metaphor of how to do that. And then, of course, so there's that ebook about that, but there's also, if you want to do a deep dive with me personally, because this is your time to mobilize that Rainmaker, and you know there's barriers to it, and you know there's challenges to it, and you know that there's fear around it, then there's the mentorship program. I'm glad to help you with that as well. So I need to, I've already gone 10 minutes over. I want to be accountable for you guys. I need to just, again, say thank you so much for participating, taking the time out, for being here collectively. Some of you know I talk about the local global village. It's never changed. It's always been the same. We are dependent and we are interdependent. We are nature, we are culture, and our time is now to shine, people. So please take the Rainmaker energy story and everything, where if it moves you in your dreams or in how to walk differently or how to be with your family or your animals or your loved ones, your partners, please let it have you. Let it take you where you know you needed to go all along. This is the thing, because this is our time, people, also to through service to really be that best version, that most courageous version of ourselves.
Thanks, Michael. I'm on my way.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for that reading. That's beautiful. That writing. Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're so welcome. So that's the official ending. I'm so happy to stay in this Rainmaker energy story for another 3.17 years. If anybody wants to stay on for another half hour, I'm happy to answer some more questions about details. Some of you are staying with me, so please, if you would like a detail, yeah?
Thank you. I just wanted to say thanks. It's great to see you.
Oh, John, such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye,
Fred.
John.
Here we go. Bye-bye. Bye.
Corey.
Ciao. Okay. There we
Bye,
are.
Michael. Thank you. It was wonderful. See you soon.
See you soon. Yeah. Good luck in your hut.
Bye.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Bye.
Ciao.
Take care.
Okay. Some people are staying. Susan, are you staying? Julie, you're still there? Caitlin? Maddie? Maddie, did you hear any of the story? Oh, maybe not. Susan, you've got your camera on. You go. Where's your detail?
Oh, mine was a hut, but I've given a lot of. I love being in the hut. I've been isolated for 2.5 weeks, and I've been quite happy. Thanks. I'm self-isolated. Yeah, I keep seeing on this whole thing, as horrible as it is, as just an amazing opportunity for us to gain greater wisdom, not only in ourselves but in the process itself. And I think there are always gifts in everything, and there'll be gifts in this as well. As horrible as it is, I think there's an equal amount of good that's going to come out of it. And yeah, and I think that I try to be positive or I'm consciously being positive about all of it, and not necessarily shooing away any fear, because I just think that things will work out. That's just my way of being. But I also think that fear will feed the virus. And I think if people go into deep fear, etc., and panic and everything, that would just continue to feed the virus. I think it's love and positive thoughts that will also help everybody, including the individual.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing is from one perspective quite fascinating, actually. That may sound sort of strange, because people have things to deal with, and lots of reasons to be afraid. What's going to happen to them, their job, their family, their house, their home, their kids, all these things. But there will always be solutions, I think, and we'll find them, and we'll do it, all of us together. I think that's the key, is staying the course and knowing, just keep affirming that all will be well. And shoot a little humor in there too, because we have to have something to make us put a smile on our face. That also sends off some positive energy.
Yeah, I had a client who was so stuck with all of this and other things that were, because the family was being pushed back into itself, and it was very difficult. And then she went very quiet after describing how hard it was. And then she said, the truth is there's only one thing that is making a difference. And I said, what's that? And then her big grin came on her face, and she said, I'm playing my old 80s tunes and I'm dancing, and I can't even stop me and the kids and my husband from putting half an hour in at a time, twice a day. It's ridiculous. And that's her hut time. That's what she's recognizing as a fabulous way for her to travel in the thick of all of this, is, some 80s music. Go figure, right?
Hey, you see what's coming out of this, and what people are doing, and how they're stepping up and coming up. Humans have a tremendous ability for creating dreadful problems, but they also have this amazing creative spirit that finds wonderful solutions. And I think that through this, people will learn about giving and receiving, and perhaps. And they'll learn about trusting, and they'll learn about just carrying on and finding those ways to joy from the past or in the moment or whatever that they didn't even know was there. They're going to have time for being a lot of things that they don't have time for otherwise. And I just think we can find all the horrible things and face them and find solutions for them, etc. But I think we also need to look at all the gifts. Because I don't think anything like this happens without lots of gifts. And in the end, this will be a tremendous gift.
Yeah.
Not to everybody, but to those who are open to it or look for it.
Yeah. A lot of truth in that, Susan. A lot of truth in that. Yeah. So you're having fun in your hut time. You're really.
Oh, I may never leave home.
Yeah.
I may never go out again.
You get your stories delivered to home.
Yeah.
You've got groceries delivered. You've got.
Yeah.
What's wrong with this picture? If you're okay with being with yourself, it's a fantastic time to.
Oh, yeah. And it's that. But I communicate with Zoom and friends, and I talk to friends every day and things like that. I'm not completely sitting in total silence without those connections, etc. But I've never had trouble being on my own. I'm an introvert, so what can I say? Give me the opportunity doing lots of things, and I think I don't have enough time in the day.
Yeah.
How can I I could keep doing like this for a long time, and it still wouldn't be. Still have lots to do. But people call and we talk about it, and I think talking about it's really important. And if you're feeling down or whatever, talking to a friend, etc., and they can give. If all you give is a lift or a smile to a friend, that's a tremendous gift for them. And it could change their whole outlook or their change that day or that moment. We all have ways of giving and contributing to our healing from this. And I think we discover those things. Sometimes we don't even know we're doing that, but we are, just by caring, loving.
Yeah. Well said. Beautifully said. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's a great inspiration. And does anybody else want to jump in? I notice there's a few people there. I know Jan is there and Christine is there. Julie and Maddie, they're on my screen anyway. They're there. I don't know if they're there. Does anybody else want to? Oh, there's Maddie. Oh, there you are. Maddie,
I'm here. I thought I'd show my face.
Where are you?
I am in New Zealand.
You're in New Zealand. Oh, nice. So what time is it there?
Awesome.
It is 10:16 a.m. I couldn't catch the story because I had to hop on a meeting call. And it disrupted my morning plans. I'm working from home. We went into isolation 2 days ago. We're on a level 4 in the country, so that just means that everyone who is together in a house needs to isolate in that house, and there's no traveling unless you need to go to the grocery store, which you can't travel in packs. You travel on your own too. So I might be on a plane tomorrow or Sunday home, or if I can figure out how to get home next week or the week after, I will probably try. Otherwise, I'm going to be losing my job in a couple of weeks and over here for the foreseeable future, which is a very scary place to be, with medical insurance companies being difficult and on visas. So I'm learning about trust right now and holding my head high. And it was just nice to start to hear a couple people chat. But I didn't hear the story, so I don't know what part to draw from to then tell you a specific feeling, as we traditionally do in these storytellings. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, so good to see you. And
it's been a while.
Yeah. And by the way, get a hold of Kaylee, my partner at Joyce Murray's office. She's working diligently to get people home. There's a lot of people here that if you need a hand, because she works in the government, the federal government, and if she can, if she can help in any way, she will. She'll put you on to some people with immigration, because they're working hard at this end to get everybody home if you need to come home. So,
yeah, the consulate, I've been in contact with the consulate almost every day, which is great. And they send me updates every day, which is lovely. It's not the worst thing if I stay here. I think the question is, when will I be able to get home again? And what would other countries do to support that? I think personally traveling right now is a really scary endeavor. I feel pretty safe in New Zealand. I feel like we have a low amount of cases, no deaths, under 10 people in the hospital. We had 28 cases last week, which is very low. We now have 200, and it's going to peak soon and then plateau and go down. New Zealand's very economy forward in terms of, they've been a small country, so they're able to bounce back pretty quick. But I also have a home, a lovely house, a lovely partner here. I feel supported. So it's a weird thing to go through when you're a citizen somewhere and they want to protect you, but it's not very safe to leave your home to go to a country you haven't lived in for a year and a half, to house hop till you can find somewhere to isolate. And I think I even have to isolate in a government facility when I get home. It's just a weird place to be. And I know everyone else is in weird places. But I don't feel like I'm at home necessarily here. I feel safe. I think Canada's home. And that's maybe what I'll feel safe again, fully, and maybe comfortable. But in the meantime, I just have no idea. I'm just sinking into trust and hope.
Yeah. So the story really is about a Buddha that comes to town, and the rains come to a drought, and so the story is about a rainmaker, that whole part of ourselves, and that complete part of ourselves. And I'm going to say to you right now, if you're going to work with trust, is that you can trust that part. And so in the story, he jumps into a hut for 3 days, and then the rains come, and then he leaves. But he came into a drought-infested valley and realized that he got out of sorts. He couldn't trust anymore. So he jumped into a hut and got back to his practice, his internal self-care practice. And then the rains came, and they all celebrated him. But he said, look, I didn't do anything. I just came back to my own self. And so the invitation for you is, given your situation, okay, it's not a drought, but it is a drought on some level, is that you call on, you deepen your self-care practice, Maddie, so that you come back to yourself. And if you end up staying there for 5 more days, great. If you end up, like Susan is, staying there for long term, and quite happy in it, if you're there for months, okay, people don't come out of this going, oh shit, I wish I hadn't done that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's usually if you work with it.
I might have wished I hopped on a plane sooner. But
yeah, you might have, but you'll forgive yourself for that, and then you'll settle in, and you'll make it your home for now. You'll make it for, okay, well, I've got a partner, I'm safe, and okay, I can make it home. I could light more candles. I could, turn it into a hut, and settle in, and that way you'll come out of New Zealand when you do get home as a brand new woman, because yourself will you'll have heard the teachings and how to trust life and how to be in the thick of challenges, but also really pull on that.
Yeah, always a challenge. It's my biggest one yet.
Yeah, well, oh my God, great to see you, and nice that you can join. Hey, if you're still there, or if you're back here by next Thursday, we're going to do this again. I'm going to send out a note. We're going to do this once a week and just pick a different story and jump into it, because we can't meet in my living room, but we can do this.
Give Rue a pet for me.
Yeah, she's wandering around here somewhere. Yeah.
Dear Rue could care less, right?
There's no borders.
Schmyrus, I don't know what people are talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, what's this big thing?
Yeah. Well, look, great to see you, Julie. You're still
Good
with
luck,
us.
man.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for your great energy, and nice to see you again, Maddie. I met you ages ago. And yeah, I look forward to another connection, and yeah, I just really appreciate everybody's light energy and yeah, connection during this time. So look forward to more stories, and yeah, really, really grateful, and yeah, echoing a lot of what others have shared, and just getting that message, like Sonia Choquette had something yesterday too, of just this time to go within, and what you were saying exactly, that so many people are taking this now. So really feeling drawn to do that, and accept, and just let go and accept. So thank you, and look forward to more.
Nice. Well, it's so great you could jump on with us. Yeah. And then, yeah, we'll hear more about details then as you stay with us on this. Are you, but you're safe. You're got your head around this, Julia.
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine. I've lost my job, but yeah, but that's fine. It's yeah, it is what it is, and just really, exactly letting go and trusting. And I had been such a good place after taking my year off traveling, and then the role, I've just been with a startup for a year, and it's been really struggling. And then now with COVID, it's they've done a number of layoffs, and yeah, but it's been, you know, a great experience. And I just loved, like when I found it, I was just in such a good place and it just flowed. Like it was no work to find the opportunity. So I'm just trying to get to that place again. And, you know, regardless of where the economy's at and all of that, you know, you can create your own reality. So I'm really putting that out there, and also taking that chance to go, what do I really want to be doing? And what, you know, like you and I've talked about, Michael, of that I know I'm supposed to be more in the space of, after all of the health challenges and all of the personal growth I've been, you know, called to do, you know, so grateful for that. But so yeah, just figuring all that out and taking the time and space now to get very clear. And yeah, look forward to teaching yoga again and doing all the things I love. So it's great. It's a chance for that clarity, as we were all saying. So yeah, not worried.
Good on you. Good on you both.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, all the best.
Susan's got a big grin on her face. She's just smiling. And Maddie, I don't know if you remember Susan's word, you know, or her word. She's, you know, she always talks about radical trust. And it's the same for you, Julie, right? It's the same for me. It's the same for all of us. Like, we're all like, I know there's, you know, back in Canada anyway, we're going to get $2,000, you know, plus the province is going to throw in another 500. So we're going to have our basics covered, but we don't really have money to go out because we can't go out anyway. So we're going to have enough to just keep ourselves going and keep our hut practices going, right? And in a way, it's good. So if you come back, you know, you're going to mobilize the Rainmaker energy. If you stay there, you're going to mobilize the Rainmaker energy. In the end, you might as well decide now, I'm going to be the Rainmaker that I need to be, that I've always wanted to be, that I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not going to wait for some other perfect time. This is the perfect time, the perfect place. And for us to, whether you're in New Zealand or Canada or wherever we are, right? This is our time. Swear to God, there will not be another time in our lifetime that will line up everything so beautifully for us to say yes to this inner work. And so say yes anyway, right? So, what were we going to say, Susan?
I said, believe and trust. And I think a year from now, everybody should get together and say, what happened in the last year? What happened that changed their lives in the last year? And I think you'll hear fantastic stories and lives changed.
And we're going to gather them all. Yeah. Yeah.
All will be well. All will be well.
Yeah. So Maddie, you reach out if you need to. Julia, you do the same thing. Susan, I know you're in good shape. You're going to, of course, we're chatting a little bit, but please don't struggle through this on your own. And if you just need a little shot in the arm, just, you know, reach out, okay?
Thank you so much for saying
Thanks,
that.
Michael.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Susan at all.
Well, you know what? I'm not worried about either of you. You're or any of the three of course, Michael and I go way, way back. The two of you have beautiful energy and this wonderful enthusiasm of youth and understanding, and I know you'll be just fine.
Thank you.
All will be well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.